Hello and welcome to gaming and welcome to another eSports Boxing Club video update. We got the Developers Roundtable number 3 earlier today and I'm going to break down exactly what was said during this quite lengthy one. It was about 40 minutes. So let's get into it. I'll break down the details and we'll see what this means for eSports Boxing Club going forward. So the first thing to mention is that Edward, or Boxing Fanatico, was on this Dev Roundtable. It's the first one since he joined the team. I was going to do a video discussing Boxing Fanatico joining the eSports Boxing Club team, but ultimately I felt that, you guys would all know he put out a lengthy video explaining why he wouldn't be covering the game anymore because he was going to work for Steel City Interactive, and ultimately I just thought it wasn't a good video for me to cover. But I can talk about it here in this video because it's the first one that he's actually been on in eSports Boxing Club's roundtables, and I have to say congratulations to him. A fellow YouTuber who was covering the game. It's great to see him getting that opportunity and leading the charge as the community rep for the game. We know that he helped with one of the trailers previously before getting this role, and hopefully more things like that will come out of him being there. He knows what we want to see. He's been on the other side as a gamer and as a content creator, so I think it's really good that he's on the team. So we got an update about early access. Now there wasn't a date attached to this update, and actually the update was more or less them telling us why the game hasn't had a date attached to it yet, telling us the issues that are stopping them from giving us an early access. And I know that a lot of my viewers are getting really frustrated waiting for this game to launch. I've had lots of comments on my videos saying that they don't think the game's ever going to come out, or it's not going to come out until 2027. And I don't think that we need to think like that. I do think the game is going to come out. I've said this in a video previously, but I am going to revise my thought on when the game's going to come out. Now, I did do a video saying that we might well see it in 2022. I was predicting a November release for the early access, but I'm going to say that I don't think we'll see it until 2023 now. I could be totally wrong, and this is just my guess, but judging on some of the things that they said in this video, it led me to believe that the game is still a little ways off from being in early access. The good news is that they are playtesting it. It is getting out to people to play, and they're checking for bugs and things like that. Bugs were the main issue why we aren't getting an early access yet. Basically, they're saying that they don't want to release the game with any game-breaking bugs in it, which currently there are, and that makes sense because we would be so angry if they released it and it had things that were preventing us from playing the actual game. Even in an early access state, it would really annoy people. And again, like I said, they do realise that we're getting frustrated waiting for it, but as I always say, this is an indie studio that's really gone from the ground up. And actually, Ash alluded to the fact that he hadn't worked in the gaming industry previously. His brother was involved in the gaming industry, but he wasn't, and he just decided to go all in for this thing. So that's, pretty cool that they've managed to get to the stage that they're at. They did say that it will launch with online from the early access day one, which again is pretty cool to hear. They could well just release it in early access with just the bare minimum exhibition mode. But no, it's going to launch with online play, so we will be able to play each other in the early access. Some of the play tests that they have done in recent months have included real-life boxers to get their perception and their insight on how the game is playing from a boxing point of view. But it's also included boxing video game enthusiasts and more casual gamers. And I think that's really quite key that they've done that, because I'm someone, and I've been very honest in every video that I've done about this game, I don't actually follow boxing. But I do enjoy boxing video games. I think they lend themselves really well to a video game format. And I guess I would be considered more of a casual gamer in that bracket. So to get the insight of someone like me is really handy for someone like me. But also you're getting the input from the real life boxers, which is crucial because they're going to be giving the real life experience and insight into the sport. So they're covering all bases with the playtests, which I think is a really good thing. One thing that was said as well is that the day one launch of early access will not include a career mode or a create a boxer mode, which is a little bit of a shame, but kind of understandable. As I say, it's quite unique that we're going to be getting online play in the day one early access launch. They could have easily just said, we won't do the online, but we'll put the career in, or we'll put the creator boxer in. So some things will not be there, and it's going to be like the career mode and the creator boxer. One of the big points that came up during the video was traits, which is going to be a new thing that we've not really heard about so far that's going to be implemented. So certain boxers will have certain traits. I think the example that was given was Deontay Wilder having a big right hand, and he was going to have a trait that makes his punches more powerful in certain aspects. And they want to put these traits into the game to make some of the boxers feel more like their real life counterparts and replicate how they box and what their style is. They then did say that the traits could work very differently in a career mode, which I think actually sounds very interesting and could really potentially mix up some career mode gameplay between all those different gamers. So the example given here was that if you get knocked down a couple of times back to back in your career, you'll then pick up a negative trait called the glass jaw trait, which would make you more susceptible to knockouts from punches to the face. They did say that there would be positive traits as well that you could pick up through the career mode, but without going into too much detail, because they didn't want to talk about the career mode too much as it isn't launching in the day one early access, so they wanted to shy away from talking about it too much. But they did give us a little insight, and I think this trait system sounds like it could really change your career mode. You could probably have two different career modes, totally different with how you play. If you play with a different boxer, different weight class, all those things could really mix up your career modes, which is really good because it's going to give the game a lot of replayability, I believe. So Edward did say that it was crazy that he was in Las Vegas for his first video on eSports Boxing Club, and the reason that they're in Vegas is because they were invited to the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame to show off the game to lots of various boxers that were attending the event. Again, play testing the game, getting the input from real life boxers, which I would assume is invaluable to them whilst developing this game. The video then closed off with community questions which have been posted through the eSports Boxing Club Discord. Now, I'm not going to read every question that was asked. You can go and watch the video yourselves to see all the questions that were asked, but I'm going to pick out the ones that I felt were the most important. So the first thing that was asked was about the hand speed. Will it vary between the boxers? Because judging from the trailers that we've seen so far, there isn't a great variation. Ash said that yes, of course, the hand speed is going to be different because heavyweight boxers punch slower than the lighter boxers, and that will be in the game. One question that was asked that I actually never thought of, but it was a case in Fight Night Champion that this happened, was whether or not some of the boxers would appear multiple times. And the answer to this was that yes, they will. There could be different weight class versions of certain boxers. So of course we do see in boxing that some boxers start in one weight class and move to another when they've beaten everyone, or if they want a new challenge. And some of those boxers that have done that in their careers could be in the game in two different weight classes. Like I said, this was in Fight Night Champion as well. There were certain boxers that you could play across different weight classes. The other thing that was mentioned was that there could be a prime version of a boxer and a comeback version of a boxer, which I again think is a really clever idea. Of course, some boxers in real life are in their prime, they win everything, then they go away for a couple of years, and then they come back and win everything again or give it another go. And there is going to be some that are in this game in their prime versions and in their comeback versions. Again, I think that's pretty cool, and it's going to mix up how some of the boxers play. You can play the two different versions, just adding to more playability for the game, really. Another question was asked about the female boxers. Of course, there's going to be female boxers in the game, but there haven't really been many shown off, and the guys said, that's on us, we haven't really shown a great deal of that. But they did say that the female fighters will be ready for early access day one, and they said that they probably will be able to show off some of the gameplay with the female fighters very soon. So look out for that posting some point soon. Crowd noises will apparently vary from venue to venue, which again is a nice little attention to detail. Of course, if you're in a huge arena, the crowd noise is going to be, if it's a full arena, it's going to be really noisy, but might be a bit more echoey or something. Whereas if you're in like a gym, it's going to be a little bit more closed in and a little bit different to an arena. So there's going to be a variety of the way the crowd sounds depending on the venue that you're in. Apparently, if a fight is like boring and not considered great by the crowd, they will start to boo. So that's going to be interesting as well, to see if you can make the crowd boo by having a really bad boxing match. Another thing that was said that again is just great attention to detail is that during your career mode, when you're coming up through the ranks and you're fighting on an undercard for a more popular boxer, the crowd isn't going to be full. And I think that's really smart. They could just have the crowd full, and a lot of us wouldn't say anything about that, but actually saying that, look, if a boxer's on the undercard, the attendance isn't going to be at capacity. Now, I've never been to a boxing event. I've been to lots of other things like gigs where the opening band, they don't have as many people in as the headline act, and that's probably the exact same for the boxing, I would imagine. I went to the cricket the other day and it was a double header. The women's team played first at 11:30 in the morning and the stadium was like half full. When the men played at 3, it was near enough full. So this happens in all manner of life, and to put that into the career mode I think is really smart and really going to add to the flavour of the career mode. They said as your popularity rises in career mode, more people will show up to see you fight. So they were asked if there's going to be a public beta test before the early access, and they kind of gave two answers on this. At first they said yes, there's going to be, but then they kind of like went back on that a little bit and said, well, we hope there's going to be. They then said that it would maybe test the online features. Of course, many games do this. I think the most recent example on this channel that I can think of is when eFootball was not even called eFootball and they were just testing out the servers. So it looks like they're going to do this for eSports Boxing Club. I don't know if it'll be invite only or if it'll be, they did say public, so public to me means everyone can try it, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that front because they gave kind of two answers. And the last thing that was talked about was the clinch system. Now they had wanted to get this really in-depth and involved clinch system whereby you could do little things within the clinch like little cheeky punches and things like that, but apparently that was not really helping the game. It was causing the game to run poorly, so they've had to scale it back and make it a very basic clinch system just for early access. So it does sound like, from the way they're talking, it sounds like they're really gearing up for this early access. But as I said earlier, I still do think that my initial prediction of November 2022 might be wrong. I feel like we're in September now. We've got 2 months. It could happen, but I feel like they would have said by now. So I do think we're going to see the early access. Early 2023 is my new revised prediction. That's about it for this developers roundtable from Steel City Interactive. Great to see Boxing Fanatico on the channel and on the table with the other guys. And I want to know what you guys thought about this development update. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this, and I'll try reply to as many comments as I can. I'll see you guys in the next video.